And we hope everybody is still with us, of course, here for the last match. It's still me, Naisu, joined here with Dan, Leo, my boy. And we are here after a sweep, man. It's been back-to-back sweep. What, you like that? You like that? You like the...
You made it sound like my boy was my surname. But you know what, Joseph? It does stand that we are down to our last match for tonight, a best of three featuring South Asian countries. And we finally get a glimpse of what exactly is going down there, because if you've been checking in on Iesf.gg, you'll know that Nepal have been calling it their house. Nepal has been, again, pardon my French, whipping everybody.
Everybody in the club. I don't know what everybody in the club, man. You know, because they're 6-0 currently, right now in terms of like their games, but they're 3-0 for the matches. Yes, Nepal has been doing crazy things off the streams. Now, again, we have to kind of throw that out there. We don't have as much information about them because most of their matches, if not all of their matches until this one, has been off stream. So that's what we're going to have to see. They are going against Sri Lanka, and we'll take a look at exactly the matchup that's ahead of us to finish off our night here. But same thing with Sri Lanka. If you look at least for ISF.gg, you know, they've got one match win that they did take, and that was against Pakistan, I think it was. So they did get a sweep. That's about what we have. And then, you know, they've had a couple losses too. So it's... I guess because we've paid so much attention to like groups A and B over for, you know, Southeast Asia, you kind of have this sense of like, all right, who are the powerhouse teams? Well, for this one, like Leo mentioned, it's Nepal. Nepal is that powerhouse team, and I don't know, maybe we see some very meta-esque drafts going on here. But we're gonna take a look at the team roster here for Nepal. We got Yahiko, Mlbb, Hybrid, Masarap, and Ganigan. Wow, these are, I must say, these are familiar names.
Yeah.
By the way, we've seen Nepal play before, like in ISF. I feel like they've switched maybe one or two players, but definitely Masarap. I remember Masarap. I remember Yahiko, and there's some other familiar names out there from Nepal, but unfortunately they're not with us here for this one.
Yep. Now their coach, Apex, is also part of the lineup. That might be another name that rings a bell when it comes to Nepalese Mlbb. So they are in good hands. That explains why they're so dominant in this group amongst other South Asian teams in Mlbb Esports. So they're facing off against Sri Lanka coming up now. This is a team that y'all should keep your eyes open for. But again, even without the match starting, I'll tell you now, it's going to be a David versus Goliath situation.
Yes, sir. We got Voltrex. Hey, I know a Trex. You know a Trex. Dead Zone, Sky Zone, Xerox, and Night Owl. That's the roster for Sri Lanka. And like we were saying, you know, this is going to be a matchup for them that's maybe a little more difficult. Now, I'm sure they have some information to go ahead and deal with what's ahead of them. Okay, so we did get some information. The reason why, also the off match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Pakistan went into, I guess they forfeited. So I guess this is really the rep test, I would say. The rep test here for Sri Lanka. We're going to see them go ahead and play. So I'm excited to see them. Again, anytime we get to go ahead and see one of these teams, even for Nepal though, like Leo, we don't get to see them too often, although they have some familiar names, and I know they've competed in ISF in the past. My eyes are going to be on both the teams, but seeing just from the stats that we have, I really want to see what Sri Lanka brings to the table.
Yep. Again, the metagame is evolving before our eyes. There have been heroes that got banned that we were hoping to see. Again, one of them is Eve. And
please come through.
Already in tonight's broadcast, we're 3 best of 3s in deep. We saw attempts at an Angela-centric lineup. And we've even seen, you know, heroes like Nolan come through, thanks to Guam. But that didn't work out. So if ever we were to have a wish list, a checklist of things we want to see from Sri Lanka and Nepal, I'd say it's a mixture of heroes that we've seen before and some heroes that recently got adjusted. Oh, also, how could I forget? Yehezkiel bringing back the Aurora. That's something
sir.
that will never leave my mind, at least for the next 48, 72 hours. If you're talking about Mlbb Esports, I'm afraid that might even show up in our own professional leagues.
I would believe so, because now that we've seen it in action, especially against some of the more meta picks that we're used to seeing, Aurora fits well, man. I mean, it's not something that I initially thought of before, and so I think, yeah, when we mentioned it, Mr. Yezkiel, the wise man himself, making it known, like, hey, this is a quality pick. So anytime one of those, heroes come through for the mid lane, I'm all for it. I'll support to bring more mid lane heroes, because that's always been something that I've been, if I had to say anything, was grinding my gears. It's the nature and environment that mid lane has been in for a while.
Yep.
We've had like the same heroes, or like rotation of heroes for seasons, if not years now. And it's still a lot of the whole, Farsas, Drushin, still even Valentina to an extent. The Kagura has come through. Selena's a staple, but even the Kagura was kind of like this breath of fresh air, I want to say, that eventually came to fruition. But then, yeah, the Aurora, I don't know what else is going to be brought up into the mid lane. I still feel like there's room there, especially, like you said, with the Eve. Eve will eventually pop up. But even so, even if Eve comes back, it's like she was there for a while. You know what I mean? It's not something that's like, oh, this is completely new. I want more new heroes in the mid lane. So Aurora is great. It's a great start.
I can't argue. But in addition to mid, I think the jungle also has this fundamental problem. Lancelot and Yusin take too much of team's priorities and attention. And if you don't get either, or if you play too much into prioritizing either, you get shafted really hard. Especially if your team isn't ready for it. If your hero pool cannot flourish in a Lancelot or Yusin-less lineup.
Yeah.
So tonight, for this final match between Sri Lanka and Nepal, I'm hoping that both junglers are ready to play amongst the Hayabusas, the Joys, even the Fredrin Lancelot, even the Fredrin Bakshas, and again, I mentioned earlier in Guam versus Indonesia, the Akais. Akai is one hero that I think if you have it in your hero pool, your team is going to be so happy to have it, especially in certain matchups. So I hope that we see that, and we don't revert back to whoever can trade better for the Lancelot, Yusin, Shin.
It's weird because the way that I see it, like Lancelot, Yusin, Shin right now is like the old Baksha Fredrin. It's like that trade, It's just like the assassin version. So I don't know, man. I think, yes, I think you were onto something too about the whole, like, YSS needs to be toned down a little bit. I know when the changes went through for him, like, I was happy because YSS was just non-existent for like how long. And then he definitely needed like something to happen with him. So him coming back to the meta was nice, but I think it was just maybe a little bit too much like tuning.
Yeah.
For YSS.
Now he's too existent. He was non-existent. Now he's too existent.
Yeah, and I think some teams have. I'm trying to think. Like, some teams have figured out how to deal with the YSS, but it's almost like it's just too much of an advantage. A jungler who provides you some of that vision, and if it's especially paired up with another hero that provides that vision for you, so you can kind of counter play into that or work together as a synergy. But then, like you said, that little bit of a stun with the board when he uses the Mountain Shocker, that's just, it seems like a little bit too much, because we're already in a very crowd control centric meta, and then you add that, like, that, you notice that's why we're seeing so many dives under turrets, man.
Yeah, maybe the one thing we're looking for that might change the tempo of competition, specifically here now, I don't know if they have it in them, a Diggy. If somebody can, cough up a Diggy, especially against a draft that is so crowd control centric,
Yeah.
then that draft can turn the tides. That draft can steal a game from out of nowhere. So I'm looking at a Diggy red 4, red 5, blue 4-5. Like if he can swing it that way, maybe Sri Lanka or Nepal can bring that out.
I almost feel like the Diggy would just get like like destroyed with like 2 hits, 3 hits. I don't know. Maybe Diggy needs the little bit of a buff. Like maybe there's a place in the patch, in the future patch, where Diggy gets this buff, but not like too much. You know, not too much, because there was a time when Diggy was a little too much too. But yeah, I definitely think that there has to be some answer for YSS. Now maybe eventually that is simply just not either you give him the ban hammer or you give him a fix hammer. You can see Sri Lanka was like, we're gonna give him the ban hammer, we're gonna take him out, so he's not gonna be a problem. I would also like to see maybe the Lancelot banned out from one of the teams, just so that we have a little bit of a different jungle matchup. But even so, like if they take those 2 out, like we have been talking about here for a while, Leo, it's like you still have utility options.
Joseph, here's what's going to happen. Nepal will force Sri Lanka to ban the Lancelot because they got 2 more bans. They have no incentive to ban it out, because if Sri Lanka don't ban the Lancelot, then they're going to first pick it in blue 1. So Nepal can instead attack certain heroes like Dushin instead. They can attack the Farsa. And that gives Sri Lanka such a difficult position to be in because... Wait, hold up.
They banned it. What are they doing here?
I don't see why. Because if you don't ban the Lancelot, you're forcing Sri Lanka... Yeah, you're reading into Sri Lanka. You're forcing them to go, you ban the 1-1, you ban the Lancelot, and then we have an open blue. You know what? Who am I to tell Nepal what to do? I'm just a dude in my house screaming at a screen, talking about teenagers playing a mobile game for the pride of their country. That's all this is.
We're just guys yelling at our screens, you know? But no, that's the thing. I guess maybe it's also in a sense that Nepal just doesn't want to play with it or against it, and so they'll take it out. I honestly, maybe this is the time we also get to see like a Hayabusa come through, because we haven't, or maybe like you mentioned, even a Lucas jungle, or something different, because the box should be taken out, unless they're just going for a Fredrin play. But I don't know, man. The Jushin comes through with the last ban of the first phase from Nepal, Sri Lanka. Where do they go here? Wanwan's still open. Yep. Like if that actually slipped through, that's gonna be crazy.
I don't know, man. Is exactly what I'm thinking. Because if they did not ban the Lancelot here, they could have ensured that all the more the 1-1 would be open. And by doing this, they allow for the 1-1 Farsa trade to happen. The 1-1 isn't even that clear. Nepal is risking the 1-1 into the Farsa, but again, who are we to say? They have owned Group B even without us looking, so maybe they get away with these kinds of drafts, these kinds of maneuvers in the initial phase of the game, and go unpunished. You know, they could have just been drafting this way with impunity, for all we know.
Yeah, always with teams like this too, you gotta take in consideration like what is comfort to them, what have they played, you know, together as the team as well to work through. So we'll find out if it's gonna be that 1-1. Farce is still open. There's so much good priority here. Depending on how this draft. So that is
CC.
Was that CC?
Yep. So they could now answer with a 1-1 Farsa.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first. This is the first game of Mlbb I've seen in the past week where 1-1 wasn't banned.
Actually, yeah. I don't recall a game that we went through without 1-1 being banned at all either. So that's what I remember asking you back in, like, I think it was first match. I was like, hey, is 1-1 really that much of a threat, you know, to deal with? And we'll probably see it come through here. This is the Uranus being picked up, and then what else does Sri Lanka take? I think they're considering maybe even taking the 1-1 in the first phase, but they'll take the Farsa instead. And so for Nepal, we'll see what they end up doing.
It's not the poison, it's the antidote they go for. And they bring back a goodie and an oldie in Uranus.
Swivel.
What does
Swing.
Nepal answer with?
Slash.
Fanny. All right. That is
Not bad.
something that demands attention from Sri Lanka. So the CC, the Fanny, folks. By the way, that first pick, blue one, that is a CC.
Football and games. Two
And
of
Bruno.
my favorites.
Bruno? Man, we got okay. So we that was Bruno. So it's CC, Bruno, Fanny. Interesting
1-1.
first phase though.
Forget about it.
Your team is
That's a
banned.
Kufra.
That is a
Right?
Kufra. So they're
a
trying to
Kufra.
stop the Fanny.
Playing trades, man.
That is a Twitch response. Sri Lanka says, "Nah, no clear skies for you."
That's a great answer though, because earlier when we saw the Fanny, we were like, you know, there's only certain heroes that will really deal well against the Fanny and put in the pressure there. So the Kufra is one of those most popular. I would say it's one of the most popular picks. Either that or maybe the Cho. I think it would probably be one of the other ones. So Ganakantra being banned. Nepal, considering that you already have the mid, you've got the Uranus in the XP lane, and then you've got the Kufra.
Nepal
Sanjo.
Your team
taking
is
away
banned.
jungle options. I could have sworn they were going to attack the gold lane.
Same. Like I would be so surprised, man, if
Lines
Wanwan
up
still
and my
slips through.
team is banning.
That is.
I am.
Got him lined up in my say. Is that 1-1? That's the
No.
Moskov. So that's the Moskov ban, the
No.
last one.
No, that is not. Well, that is not 1-1. 1-1.
Who's got him lined up in their sights? Is that Leslie?
1-1 only wants fun. So that's not her. Yeah.
Lined up in my sights might be Leslie. We're playing trades at this point. But let's see if we get to see this one. Because right now we've got
So red
The
5
Fanny-
ban. Red 5 ban was
Red 5
Moskov.
ban
Can
was
confirm. Yeah, that's Moskov.
yeah, Moskov.
Okay. There's Fred.
Yeah, the Fred.
So we now have a jungler for Sri
All right.
Lanka. I'm not so confident or damage output just yet. It's really just the farce that it's dealing damage there. They still need a gold laner.
That's why I say if they get the Wanwan, man, I think they're covered. For Sri Lanka, like their damage will be pretty good. Because that's Fred, Kufra, Uranus. Like those three alone are tanky enough to help peel and everything else.
Yeah, the only real issue for the 1-1 is the Fanny, if she so decides to take her a visit. But once you get your Wind of Nature, Bob's your uncle. You just go from there. Not Bob from Nepal, but you know
Your Bob.
the old saying, yeah, our Bob.
Our Bob.
Is like blood. Come and
Okay,
join
that
Carmilla,
in my dream
Your team
world.
is picking.
Carmilla,
is that.
Vexana.
That's a great question. She says something Dream World, right?
It is
Is that Vexana?
Carmilla Vexana, I think so.
I
Makes
just
sense to
randomly
me.
looked it up. I think it's a Lunox, man. Wait, is this right?
Are you googling?
So come and join me in my dream world is Lunox.
That's
Apparently.
Lunox. Okay, so that's a mid Lunox.
Yeah.
Ah.
We are
Okay.
putting the true test to our MLBB knowledge, by
There you
the way.
go.
But I play in Japanese voice pack. So
be the nails in your coffin.
Good to know. So if
Ranger.
it was in Japanese, then you would have more recognized it. All right, so they go for the Granger instead instead of the 1-1. Interesting. Oh, the 1-1
this is the
was
first time it went through, man.
completely snubbed. Yeah, went through and ignored. Huh.
Interesting. So okay. I think even with the Granger though, like Sri Lanka's lineup looks good to me.
Yep. Sri
Looks
Lanka is very sound. It's very sound. But Team Nepal, I like how blue 4 and 5 reflect so much of how they want to respond. Because Carmilla, given how the chunky boys are up front and might,
Yeah.
Crowd and smother their lineup, they answered very well. Piece of blood. Just circle around. Everybody hits everybody. And then the Lunox, anti-tank, big HP. That's a dream come true for Lunox. All right, I like it.
There it is.
Well
Okay.
done.
So we get the glimpse. we were
Kimmy.
Kimmy was that band.
Kimmy
Oh,
band.
Okay, Kimmy was a band. All right. So yeah, I was thinking it was Leslie or something else, but okay. So we were pretty close, but that's our theories. You guys can let us know as well in the chat what you think. as we get a good glimpse of the junglers. Of course, it's going to be a Fredrin versus a Fanny matchup here. It's this best of 3 between Nepal and Sri Lanka. And 2 interesting drafts. I mean, this is kind of what I expected, to be honest, going into this. But I am going to be interested because I've been playing a whole lot of Carmilla, man. I'll be real, you know, as someone who loves to play roam right now, especially in solo queue, I've been really enjoying Carmilla. And I think here you can see running with the tank emblem, Concussive Blast has a little bit of that firmness to go ahead and be a little bit more tanky. I think this will work really well with the lineup that they have, and especially when the team fights break out.
Also note how Yahiko is playing with... Oh, wait. Ooh. Masarap. Already very low. Yahiko. Yep, not gonna force it. Is rocking a fighter emblem. So he wants to play a little bit more of a sustainable Fanny, which makes sense because look at the rest of the lineup. There's only really one tank. There's only really one frontliner that can peel, and that's Masarap on the Carmilla. Everyone else kind of have their own kind of sustain. So I get where Yahiko's going with this.
Yeah, I think part of the, I mean, how often do we also see Fanny's roll with Impure Rage? I mean, is that... We see it sometimes, I guess. Like, I know we've seen some different variations of the Fanny roll with different emblem sets, but yeah, this is most likely just to go ahead and deal with that that tankiness that Sri Lanka has, because they're gonna have to work through that. And earlier on, you saw Dead Zone had to pop the Revitalize, so there's a whole lot of focus up here on the top side, though. Hybrid's gonna spot him out. 3 dudes from Sri Lanka are gonna be spotted out. They'll back off. The turtle is up. So you can see Masarap is in position, given the information. Doesn't have the Curse of Blood yet, though. I'm not sure if this is going to be much of a fight, but the curtain call is there for Hybrid. Now, jumping on in. Here comes the cables, too, but Sky Zone will get the turtle. The fight's going to be forced anyway. Night Owl will go in. Gets raged. There's a feathered airstrike, though. Flickers on back. Yahiko has to go back. They have enough damage to go in and burst on through, but Dead Zone, tanky as ever. Now, gonna go ahead and get yo-yo'd down. Hybrid. Oh, Hybrid's gonna get stunned. A great play from Xyrox.
That is Xyrox's passive kicking in. Curse of Crow stops Hybrid dead in his tracks. Impressive work, though. Again, that turtle could have gotten stolen by Yahiko if not for Night Owl's surgical precision, putting himself right between that major objective and the opposing jungler. I think that is one highlight that Sri Lanka can, you know, jot down, make part of their pros currently in this 3-minute match. They have a good Kufra in their hands. So I'd like to see how else they translate and how they use that tool, because the other half of the map is essentially answered for. Like, you could be definitely much, much worse off in the other half of the map, but in the gold lane, though, how is that situation looking like? How is Gonigon going up against Black Cat? Is he having any luck, any good luck against his Granger?
It's like it's just kind of one of those dead lanes right now, but you can see Night Owl charging up, flickers on forward, hits the ultimate under the turret, will take a couple shots with the turret himself. Masarap's a little bit too late to this one, dropping the Curse of Blood, and I don't think Yahiko's going to go ahead and follow up. Shows the cables, but doesn't want to commit just yet. Maybe just trying to buy some time for Bob. But I think they're just too late, man. What a play. This is what the Kufra does so well. You know, if he's able to go ahead and jump on in, I know he had to expend the flicker, but if it's a play under the turret and it gives you that advantage to Black Cat, go for it.
Impressive work. Again, there was nothing much to do in the top half of the map. Nepal played that pretty well. Still has it on lock, especially since Hybrid is about to build up. But wait. Oh, Dead Zone. What's he doing?
Dead Zone. Be in the Dead Zone right now. Sri Lanka gets control of the turtle. I'm not sure if there's going to be any contest. It looks like that's not going to be the case.
They forced
Yahiko
to use the retribution. Very smart. Again, Sri Lanka is approaching the top dog of Nepal with such bravado, such confidence that I'm convinced that they might not be able to sweep this. Nepal might not even win. Sri Lanka putting up quite the effort. That's the second turtle going over to Sri Lanka this time. The bottom half of the map is looking good for them.
Yeah, this is control they have. Night Owl's going to jump on in. Goes in with a rage. Donigon's going to be fine because the rest of the team is here. So Night Owl taking a couple, too many shots. Little cleanup there. Yahiko will go in, cable on through. So a kill now in the hands of Nepal, but I don't know if 9 just didn't, have the information that multiple members from Nepal were rotating down because, he jumped in, but still, Black Cat has Sky Zone around the corner, so it doesn't seem like they have this information either. Sky Zone jumps in, gets the energy eruption off too, all the setup. So this is the response, Mlbb to follow, double kill already. Black Cat finally goes down, and there's the burst coming through from Bob.
Dear God, Bob has just built his Sky Piercer, so that's immediately 2 stacks on it. I could have sworn I was gonna say, oh wow, Night Owl's sacrifice and good plays were almost undone, but they took down Gonigon. But just as quickly, Bob puts up his team 1,000 gold up. Check it out, Joseph. Hold up, where did the... Oh, it was Black Cat who built the Sky Piercer.
Yeah.
I thought it was Bob. Okay, you know what? If Nepal wants to regain control of this game decisively, with conviction, they should consider putting a Sky Piercer and Bob maybe as its 3rd item.
Yeah, because he's got glowing wand right now. I'm not sure.
Maybe a Trunch.
Going in.
Maybe a lightning Trunch
maybe
next.
The Trunch. Then 3rd item Sky Piercer. Because that Lunox is going to be a problem later on. So Yahiko going to go for Black Cat. Spots him out. Cutthroat going to be used onto the turret. The cables are enough. Taking out the gold laner of Sri Lanka all before this turtle, but looks like they still might be able to go ahead and secure it. They're still trying to secure the objective. Yahiko joining the fight now. Does just go in. Gets the retry off. Night Owl going to be in trouble. Takes a ton of damage again. Bob. Gone. Everybody throwing everything at Sri Lanka. They take out basically everybody, and they get the turtle.
What I say, Joseph, Sky Piercer on Lunox, and the reason why Yahiko got away with that, and with good amount of HP to boot, is because of his core talent. The Impure Rage, it actually gives him HP, and that's how he survived those turret shots in mid and was able to transition into the turtle. And now, oh no, Sri Lanka just lost their purple buff. Nepal just went and ran through a drive-by towards these camps, and now Black Cat and Night Owl have to hide behind tier 2.
Ooh, Hybrid taking a couple shots. It looks like this is going to be the response. They are getting sandwiched in, but the turret will finally fall. Gunion knocks that down. Look at the damage even on Dead Zone with 1 hit with the auto here. That's always the thing about the Bruno, man. You only need a couple items to really be a threat in terms of damage. I know early on he had the Haas Claws. I think he was working on the next what he's got. So he's got the Berserker's Fury now, and then he's got the Fury Hammer for a little bit of that extra penetration. So interesting, because the damage seems to really have swung in favor of Nepal, like in the last minute or two.
And I think it'll just get worse, because Bob is, respects the extra HP found. It's not a Lightning Crunch. He doesn't need the extra procs of damage. He wants to shred through high HP, so he goes for the Lantern. Oh, yeah. Bob. That's his 2nd item now? His second full item? It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse.
Man, that makes sense now, because like you don't see Lunox that often, but those Chaos Assaults are really hurting. Even the tankier members of Dead Zone. But then, like, if you think about it, between Bob and Gonigon, that's enough damage to bring even the tankiest members of Sri Lanka to a point where then you can just kind of clean up with Yahiko. So this Lord doesn't look like it's going to be contested at all. Not sure if the timing was really right there. Night Owl's going to jump in, but into the Curse of Blood they go. Gonigon in trouble, flickers out. There's a flicker from Night Owl. He'll be able to clean it up. But look at, once again, the damage from Bob. Conceal going to be used. Night Owl, doesn't matter if he's tanky. He's dealing with the pressure here. The Chaos Assaults come through as Mlbb picks up the kill. Now it's Dead Zone. Pop with the Revitalize. He will be able to get under the turret, but Black Cat could be in trouble. Cutthroat, the cable's on through. He has the space, but Yahiko will clean up a kill. So 3 down for Sri Lanka. Now they got to deal with a Lord push.
Precision geometry by Yahiko as he blitzes his way down to the turtle. Well, to the Lord Pit at this point, into the lane to get so much for Team Nepal. Sri Lanka are feeling the advantage now. The almost 8,000 gold lead that Nepal have. Oh, Dead Zone, he's just dead. Again, even if it was just Bobby Bob and Masarap there, he wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, man, they're seeing how much the shred is. This Lunox, oh, the setup comes through. They're able to go ahead and catch Hybrid. I'm not sure if Hybrid just expected that much crowd control to come and lock him in, so they hold on to that mid lane turret. Holy Shield right now. There's the stun. But ultimately, Sri Lanka still holds on to the Holy Shield. Now, that was a Lord push from Nepal, but they just get the tier 2s. Now, that might be good enough for them. Again, they had to respect what Sri Lanka was able to do in the early to mid-game transition. Nidal is charging up. He's going to jump into the mid lane. Got to be careful here. Let's take a look at the items real quick.
If there's anything that Sri Lanka needs to expedite is to build defense items on Night Owl. I think Night Owl is one of the few reasons why I think I'm confident in Sri Lanka's defense in the base. Night Owl, oh no, he got shredded, son! That's what I'm saying!
Oh my goodness, what is going on? The burst everywhere. Oh, Yahiko using the flicker, or uses the retry on Xerox, but Xerox will still be able to get out. And again, the shred is too much, man. I'm surprised we haven't seen too much of the Lunox come through, because it seems to be one of the best answers for these tankier heroes.
That's what I'm saying. If Night Owl is around, and even if they were inside the base, even with all the inhibitors down, a defense is possible. I'm throwing back to the heyday of the Chak Mamba. Remember that defense? He can, that young man, Joshua Mangilo, can do magic with a Kufra. So now with it in the hands of Night Owl, I'm seeing shades of that. I'm seeing that he can jump on the dudes, hold them down like a baby suppress with the bouncing ball. We've seen some shades of it. But he can't do that if he keeps dying like this. And he can't do that without an Athena's shield, without a Radiant armor. He needs that against Bobby Bob.
Yeah, Bobby Bob seems to be a huge problem throughout this game, especially, you know, around fighting the Lord, man. When you have this Carmilla from Masarap to go ahead and set things up, whether that's with the stun, whether that's with the Curse of Blood, it puts yourself in a position, because if you think about it, like Curse of Blood plus you also have a CC, man. Like, you can also current call people together. So you have to, like, choose your fight, your Sri Lanka, very carefully, because you can't be clumped up. And if they are, they're going to have trouble.
This might not be wise. Don't contest. Just stay inside your base. You have good high ground defense. You're down about 8k. That's a huge gap in firepower.
Yeah, they got the Revitalize out. They're actually respecting what Sri Lanka can do, though. Lord's going to go for the reset. Still holding at half health. Night Owl's going to be spotted out with the Lord there, though, too. So they're playing with this advantage. They know they got Revitalized down from Dead Zone, so that's at least something. Oh, Dead Zone just kind of jumping on in, seeing what he can start.
Joseph, look at Hybrid. Look at Hybrid. This is a light angle.
Oh, he wants to go in. Pop the current call. Curse of Blood's going to drop down. Two Black Cats in trouble. He has nowhere to run. Yahiko goes in, looking for Xerox. Xerox will have to flicker over the wall, but they might look for more in the mid lane. Another flicker from Night Owl on the defense. Under the turret they go. He's going to charge up. Does he jump back into the fight? No, he's got to go heal. So they get Black Cat. Now this is a moment for them to secure the lore.
Not just Black Cat. They got a handful of flickers. Literally all of them forced to be used defensively. And now Sri Lanka are deep underground. I'd say they're 4 feet underground. 6 feet when they're dead. Right now it's 4 feet underground. And just because they thought they could pick the fight. Again, at the very start I said, just play defensively. You cannot contest. I think the reason why Nepal did that is, number one, to bait them out, which Sri Lanka fell for. And number two, Team Sri Lanka, they did not have eyes on Bobby Bob. So they figured that we flushed out all the nearby bushes. We can push forth. But what's scary is Bobby Bob has flicker still. He can Ruby BB.
Yeah, he can Ruby DD into this base or whatever he wants. Oh! Yahiko able to dodge the rage. There's the Curse of Blood, able to find two as Xerox goes down. Black Cat gonna be in trouble too. Whoa! Under the base he goes. Yahiko will clean it up. Lord's still gonna be up a little bit longer, but they're just gonna go ahead and focus down the base. Revitalize, trying to clear out the waves, but that enhanced wave already pushing in. You can see Night Owl quite low. Bobby Bob, unstoppable. Gon will get 1-2, and they'll just wipe them out, and they'll take game 1 for Nepal.
15 minutes. Nepal proves to still be the dominant force in their group here, playing for South Asia. And we saw some remnants of it. Again, he didn't have to flex on us. He didn't have to bedazzle us with Ruby BB. But he got the opposite version of it, wherein he used darkness first, flickered, and then lightened so that he survived the tower shots, or at least diverted the aggro. Shaky start for Nepal. Could have sworn Sri Lanka was going to get there, but I think somewhere down mid-game, Sri Lanka changed their priorities. I think Sri Lanka bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah, it's I was trying to figure out too, like it was starting here where things really started to sway in the favor of Nepal, and it was this turtle fight where they get a wipeout, at the 7-minute mark. And with this wipeout, and then from getting these objectives, they were able to go ahead and continue to put pressure on the map, take resources, take buffs, and there was no answer for this Lunox. Like, I think that was one of the biggest things. Because even if you committed a lot to it, like, she still had the brilliance, she's still able to go ahead and survive, she still had the flicker. I mean, half the time, Mlbb, he didn't even have to burn the flicker. Like, that was the thing. And he was able to just kind of pump out the damage. So I think that was one of the biggest things, is even itemization-wise, like, that Athena shield too was a little bit too late. Maybe they should have gotten some more magic resist early on. But even so, I understand, like, the idea for Sri Lanka to be like, do we build more defense physical or defense magic? Because even having a Fanny and a Bruno across from you, that's a lot of damage to deal with. So it was kind of overloaded at that point.
They were forced to make tough decisions, and neither was the right call. So, better luck next time, which is literally the game after this. Luckily, it's not over just yet. There is a chance, but I like that Sri Lanka showed some grit. They showed us that they had a clear plan, and a huge chunk of it was off the back of Night Owl. So if they can end up with a sort of similar draft that goes around Night Owl's instincts.
I'm surprised he has cursed helmet. Like, I'm surprised.
You didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
he didn't need it.
Some of his instincts are in the right place. Mechanics on point, but fundamentally, there were better things to do. So, number one, use your gold better. I think. I don't think he even needed the molten core.
The molten essence. Yeah.
Molten essence. Did he? Because I get it. I get the molten essence is number one. There is defense shred. By being around targets, you soften them up. But look at Nepal. They're not even as tough to begin with. And look at their damage profile. They have burst. It's more burst than DPS. So, how much gold did Night Owl in Sri Lanka sacrifice to be able to go in that direction where they shouldn't have?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at, because you mentioned it, like, they needed some more of that magic resistance to go ahead and just withstand what was happening, like, especially with the Lunox across from them. But again, it was one of those cases where Sri Lanka showed some hope there, especially in the early to mid game, but it just quickly went out of their favor. And even for Black Cat, I feel like Black Cat was really doing his best. Like, he really tried to do his best with the positioning and everything else. But when you've got a Fanny just flying around, man, there's only so much movement you can do. And if your battle spell, for example, was burnt, or I don't even know if he had really much of a chance to get to a win in nature. It's just like, you can only do so much, you know, especially with a Fanny swinging around. So I think it was just a lot of those answers or the questions here on maybe how to utilize the gold better, how to be a little more efficient with it, because they were doing pretty good. Like, there was a moment there where it's like Sri Lanka was in, I would say, control for a very momentary, momentarily they had some control.
Not necessarily in control, but they were making plays. They were positively affecting their own game plan, which is when they looked best. So if they can draft, again, something similar that allows for them to do that and make the right decisions along the way to push it forward, then maybe we'll see at least a more competitive game and maybe force Nepal into a game 3. But, we'll take it one step at a time.
we'll take it there. But before we do get there, we're going to have to take a short break for our players to go ahead and reset, get readjusted, and of course, get ready for game 2. So once again, I'm Nisu. This is the Leo. We'll be back with you guys after the short break. And we are back after the very short break. Once again, it's me, Nisu, and Leo to bring you our second game of our very last series here ahead of us. Maybe we get 3 games. I'm going to throw it out there. There's a chance if Sri Lanka can go ahead and recuperate after what Nepal did in game 1. I don't know, Leo. Is it possible? What is the answer here for Sri Lanka? Because I feel like Sri Lanka had the idea, like it was there, but it slipped out of their hands, man.
They had a good idea. There was a solid footing for what they were trying to do in game 1. They had a game plan, and I think that's one step in the right direction. You know, don't play to your opponent's traps. Like, don't let them dictate what you can and can't do in the land of Dawn, because already I think it's no secret, Nepal is owning the region. Nepal is South Asia when you're talking about their qualifiers for this year's World Esports Iesf and Mlbb Esports men, right? So I think the fact that Sri Lanka is playing their own game and drafting to what they're comfortable with is a correct step. Number 2 is...
I thought you were saying Bobby.
No. I want to focus more on them, because you can't touch Nepal. Nepal has proven to be quite the force, even when you bring them into, you know, the world stage. Like in the wild card, some of these names have shown up and have, you know, garnered the love and respect of so many Mlbb fans around the world. For Sri Lanka, fundamentally make the right calls. We were talking about it before the break. Where did all the gold go, man? Like, why would he invest so much in the Cursed Helm? I might be wrong here. I might not know the math exactly, the interactions, the dynamics of that decision, but I think it would have been better spent. You know, like, you should have built an Athena shield or a Radiant armor much sooner.
Much sooner. Yeah, I would have liked to see the Radiant armor earlier on, maybe even the first item there, but I don't know. I actually wonder if Sri Lanka is going to ban out the Lunox, or maybe they want to test the waters out and take it for themselves. But, you know, that's one of the cases. They did have a hard time dealing with the Fanny, so they banned it out. There goes the Jushin. So Nepal pretty much sticking with their bans here for game number 2. I think we see a very similar game plan. Like, they could actually, depending if they wanted to, they could just go with a CC first pick again, like they did in the previous one. So this is up to Sri Lanka and how they want to play this, because I think even the pattern of the draft maybe could be different for them here for Sri Lanka, because everybody slept on 1-1 too. Not that the 1-1 would have been better in that situation. Like, I think, again, Black Cat did a really good job on the Granger. But now that you took out the Fanny, this would be a really good time to take 1-1. This is a good, actually, adjustment, though. They do take out the CC here.
Okay. Yeah, I concur, Joseph. The fact that the Granger was picked and prioritized instead of the 1-1 wouldn't have made it better. It would have been different, but it wouldn't have made it better. So now this does allow for the Baksha, if I'm not mistaken, and the Eve. Those were the 2 other bans that Sri Lanka focused on. And Nepal jumps the gun. All right, you leave open the Baksha. We're taking it. Blue 1.
Do they take the 1-1? That's the question for Sri Lanka. They might even be better off waiting a little bit, but I'd like to see them take... I could see them taking a Farsa again. I think it was just a little bit difficult for Xerox there in the previous game. Like I said, the Fanny really played well from Nepal for Yahiko. So this time around, you have a couple options. Maybe the Farsa, maybe we have to see the Eve come to play, but also with that, there it is. Actually, finally, at least today we get to see it, man.
This is a better pick instead of the Farsa, because the Eve actually ain't going nowhere even if the Baksha jumps onto you. The Akai, though, this is something I've been alluding to all night long, is if a team can pull out an Akai to answer an opponent's draft, then this might be the kryptonite you're looking for to break their battle lines. Although Nepal commits to an Arlot early on, even without taking care of its natural predator, the Phoveus. So I wonder if this is going into the hands of Hybrid, and consequences be damned. He's just going to play it like how it was played the other night into a Phobius, and they didn't even care. Like, it went
Yeah.
unpunished.
I mean, we just saw the... Oh, okay, so this... They take the Hayabusa, so this is then... Yeah, this is going to be a Roam Baksha, Jungle Hayabusa, and then the XP Arlot. I almost wonder if they could have just waited, like, left with the flex there for a little bit, but maybe they just didn't want to risk the Hayabusa being banned out for the second phase there. So very upfront and honest from Nepal. This leaves them left with a, what are they going to put in the mid lane? What are they going to put in the gold lane? So for Sri Lanka, I almost expect them to eventually ban out the Farsa too, but we got to see what this next pick is theirs is going to be. Because they already have, like, do they want to go ahead and secure themselves?
Yeah, last chance to get the Phobius. I like how it interacts with
there
the
it is.
Akai too. There it is. Because you wouldn't just suddenly pick the Akai out of nowhere without abusing the potential for the easy procs of the demonic, the Infernal Pursuit.
Infernal Pursuit, yeah.
Yep, so they lock it in and naturally run it. Well, I assume they will run it straight into the Arlot in the EXP lane. Going into the bans, as you mentioned, Joseph, get rid of the Farsa. Make Team Nepal work for that range.
Makes me wonder too, like, if it's the Farsa, then what do we potentially see here? Because we've seen teams prioritize to ban Selena. Kimmy was the other hero on my mind too.
Yep.
Because this would work really well. I mean, the amount of crowd control that a traction pulse with a final slash and all that stuff would work. So, but on the other side, Nepal wants to go ahead and focus down on the gold lane options because you don't have a gold laner yet for Sri Lanka. They already did. They did play the Granger, so I think if you really wanted to put them on the test, like ban out at least the Granger and then maybe the 1-1. Either one of the two. Or I would actually just really like to see Sri Lanka play the 1-1 and then the Eve. So you get two of the heroes that we've been looking for throughout the past couple days actually get a chance to be played.
They can only do that, Joseph, if the coast is clear from the Farsa. And they're confident that whatever goes into the gold is something that Black Cat can fight into. So Nepal is banning out the Moskov. Okay, another hero that can proc the Infernal Pursuit for free. Easy. But now we're going to find out which direction they're going for in gold. There it is,
Makes
the Farsa.
sense.
So I think they are telegraphing the 1-1.
I must say, Mr. Leo, we are doing a pretty good job here on our theories for the drafts. I know you even talked about the Akai earlier, so it's going to be fun to see that in action. This is a really good first phase for Sri Lanka here, and I really want to know how they're going to build this out. Is this a 1-1 ban from Nepal, or do they let this go through? Because it's either 1-1 or Granger that Black Cat's probably going to end up playing with this. Because you also get to go ahead and play into the, I want to say it's like somewhat of a safety of the real world manipulation. Now that you have an Eve there, it can help you in some of those instances where you're trying to move around that. So, wow, they'll take out a Roam. They'll take out the Matilda. So that is not available. So what are they? I wonder what they're going to put in the Roam then. Either Roam or gold here for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it's a little too much if Sri Lanka got away with both the Matilda and the 1-1. So Nepal just made their choice and said, yeah, just give them the 1-1. We can run the Granger into it. And actually, here's the thing. The Granger also interacts very well into this dynamic because it's one range tool that can actually reach the Eve. Because they already got rid of the Farsa. So, quite the conundrum, the paradox, the labyrinth that we have here. Now, Sri Lanka don't want to make that decision just yet. So they pick up the Jawhead. That's their Roam, clearly. And now it's down to Nepal. Does Nepal pick the 1-1 or the Granger for gold? And here's the thing. They don't even have to. They have so many other choices. They can, like, Claude if they want to reach the back line.
And also just with also keeping in mind the fighting into the real world manipulation. But I think even the Arlot like kind of helps that because it's like, all right, if you are fighting around the objective and the real world manipulation's there, the Arlot provides you that option of, kind of sweeping people out of it if they can. Oh, but for the most part, you're going to see the Arlot starting the fights. That's really what we've seen, the Flicker Final Slash combo. So there's the Granger like we expected. And the Lilia, didn't Lilia, she got a very small change, right? It was like more spell vamp. Or,
Yep, she
I
did.
was looking at your graphic. It was spell vamp, right? Like
did.
on her glooms.
It's a teensy weensy buff for second skill, yeah, but you'll take what you can, right? This is just
Yeah.
another hero that can take care of itself, much like an Aurora, but in a more proactive manner instead of just having an extra life built in. So the Lilia here, I'd reckon, will be building Purifier Flicker, and then using the high uptime to be able to threaten the Eve in lane. So now Sri Lanka, I don't think the coast is clear for a 1-1. It's very risky still to run a 1-1 into this lineup. I still think they're better off with a Claude or something. Oh!
It's been a while, man. It's been a while since we've seen the Nathan.
A while is relative, Joseph, because Nathan is a time traveler. So
That's true.
to him,
That's
it could have
true.
been just 1 second that he was out of the meta, and then now he's here. Sri Lanka, putting into the hands of Black Cat.
I would not have expected this.
Me neither. Again, no one mentioned
This
it.
is, so I need a refresher. Aren't they lacking a lot of physical damage though? Like
Yes.
Nathan does like is it hybrid?
Nope.
Technically,
It's
Or is it
magic.
magic?
He's dealing,
it's pure magic, right?
as the kids say, a butt ton of magic.
Okay, so
so-
this lineup does a butt ton of magic.
The only real physical is coming, like, respectable amount of physical is coming from the Phobius, I'd reckon, because the Jawhead has to build physical defense. Like, I don't, that's a lot of, again, that's a lot of money that you're throwing at a Blade of Heptases or like a random Fury Hammer if you want to do that. I don't think Night Owl should be doing that. So there's not enough money in this draft to put there because you want it on Black Cat.
Well, we're gonna find out here once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last match of tonight, day 4, Iesf Asia and Oceania qualifiers, and it's down to match point right now for Nepal. We'll see if these drafts are going to be able to take us to our first game 3 of the evening, or will it be a sweep for Nepal? Now, I think one of the big things again is how does this work out for a, like, because we don't see the Nathan often, honestly. Like, it's one of those heroes that's kind of up in the air. I mean, even to an extent, the Lilia. Now, Lilia, yes, she had this little minor change, but leave it up to Bobby Bob to bring out a hero that isn't typically picked up, and I'm happy for it because he brought the Lunox too. And when you look at the emblems here, nothing too crazy, right? Nothing too crazy sticking out.
This is the huge. And the quick rotation down bottom to bother Dead Zone is to the matchup's nature. Because again, Dead Zone should be winning more often. But wait, look at this. Oh!
Oh, you're gonna jump in. Oh, Sky Zone? I'm not sure if that was gonna be worth it or not. He does go down. So a bit of a trade, I guess. You know, both junglers just being taken out of the picture there.
I think it was more beneficial to Sri Lanka and Sky Zone, given that he reached level 4, while Yaiko has to work for the EXP. Again, you don't get EXP posthumously. So Yaiko is stuck at level 3 now. He has to bum rush his way towards a camp or something. That's exactly what was done there, but he didn't get it. Oh, the gold went elsewhere, but he's fine. He'll reach level 4 eventually.
Yeah, he's got the level 4, so this is gonna make for an interesting first turtle take. Sri Lanka should have the advantage, I say. I mean, especially if Xerox can get that level 4, that he does. So they've got the real world manipulation to go ahead and set up now this for Yahiko. He's only going to have the orange buff to work with. But again, this is up to Sri Lanka to start. He is going to focus on his purple for now for Sky Zone, and then they'll rotate for this. So everybody getting ready. All the level 4s are available. You could see even Ganigan rotated down towards that mid lane to get some of that extra gold. And they're going to go ahead and set things up here.
Night Owl just gets it in the nick of time, right before anyone engages with the turtle. This is a late rotation for Black Cat, but he should be able to make it given the momentum for move speed given by the river. Turtle now at about half health. Sky Zone is holding on to his heavy spin. Oh, look at this engage.
Yep, they're going to force the fight anyway. Masarap popping the ultimate here. Still has the Revitalize. He finally is going to use it himself. Gets locked out with a heavy spin, so Masarap is gone. And now Night Owl should be able to get out, but look at this. Split up, Ganigan trying to distract them. Sky Zone will get the turtle, I think they're just going to disengage. They just don't have enough damage right now.
This is what you get when you put an Akai in the jungle. When
Yeah.
more than half of your pieces line up and you have the heavy spin, that just makes up for all of the possible room for error. It just denies your opponent the space, and
Yep.
whether it be because of the heavy spin, I think Nepal was just in a bad place to begin with anyways. Number one, Ganigan went for the half rotation, like he wasn't so sure, but now wait, the post turtle take!
Oh, they're going to force a fight anyway. A flicker for Night Owl. Now, Night Owl's still 1 HP. Will actually survive. A great flicker to stay alive because, again, could have gone way worse, but you see what's happening now. Nepal will go ahead and rotate towards the bottom side of the map. Final Slash going to be used, but I don't think you're going to be able to kill Dead Zone, so Hybrid maybe just checking things out with that one.
That turn came in a little too late, and in the wrong spot too. They had to go for a full rotation to the opposite lane to make that call. I think Nepal have a lot of catching up to do. Interesting decision by Ganigan. Joseph, is that right? His first fully built item is the Sky Piercer. I don't think you're making enough money in the early game to build more than just that.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Again, the Final Slash to use, but Dead Zone will be fine. Ganigan's going to definitely need more time than what we saw in the previous game where, he was able to scale up really quickly. So
Yeah.
this is a slower start for both sides, honestly.
Is it he built a casual knight, a casual fury hammer, and then the full Sky Piercer? Because I'm finding myself wondering where the economy came from, and if so, then he's just expediting his power spike. That's what that could be. That's what an early Sky Piercer signaling. Night Owl gets caught out here.
Oh, well, the toss up into the air. I'm not sure. He does Black Shoe, so he's going to be fine. They're still going to fight under the real world manipulation, and Night Owl joining it. The Revitalize already used from Maserap. Both gold laners making away to the fight. Ganigan will come in. There's the Final Slash that we're looking for. Able to find two, but still respecting that damage. And now Dead Zone. He was trying with the Infernal Pursuit, but will get taken out. Maserap driving around, rolling on around, but won't find anyone else. But Night Owl jumps in with a flicker. I'm not sure if that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to make a play. Now Black Cat's going to be in trouble, and this is the turn that happened in Game 1, and it's happening now in Game 2 as the turtle is secured for Nepal.
Joseph, if my sequence of events are correct, if I'm not mistaken,
Oh, he got it too.
as Masarap was rolling around, that is exactly when Night Owl flickers in and he bumps into the Baksha. And that's why he got stunned. He stopped in his tracks and got bursted down. That's just the only logical reason that could have happened, and he wasted his flicker. I don't think Night Owl saw that coming. Now looking at the items.
Oh,
Whoa, wait! Oh, they burst down Masarap.
that's the revenge. Yeah, you're not escaping that one. That's 4 members
Ouch.
of Sri Lanka to go ahead and burst down. So, as you were explaining what happened to Night Owl, I think he had a vendetta against Maserap, man. He's like,
Yep.
I'll remember that. I'm going for you this time. So
It was personal, Joseph. I can tell. It was personal. Now Hybrid just dead laning against Dead Zone. Now we see confirmation that Gon actually has the Hunter Strike now. I wonder if that was built prior to the team fight or just after. Ooh.
was that? He threw he threw Sky Zone towards Nepal, but that could have also been a potential setup because it is an Akai. Potentially using that heavy spin. Hybrid could be in trouble here. Unstoppable Force going to be used, so throws on Dead Zone, but Hybrid will actually survive, so multiple dudes here, even with the Dark Wave. I don't think you want to fight that.
Whoa.
That's going to be a Final Slash into the turret. Nice little stun there, too, but still tanky enough for Dead Zone. I don't think he's actually going to be able to win it or get the kill. They're still fighting it down there. Heavy spin going to be used, fighting for this purple buff. The space around it. Yahiko's going to pop the Shadow Kill. He's able to go under the turret, pump out the damage. Night Owl in trouble. A couple shots from Ganigan as he cleans up under the tier 2. A good layering here happening for Nepal. And that's now the Malefic Roar for Ganigan.
Ganigan is eating well, and he ate up Black Cat. Down goes the Nolan. Oh my lord. Joseph, prior to this quick sequence in mid, leading up to top, tier 2's standing, I'm smelling some anti-synergies. Dead zone is dead.
What is, I mean, what's happening here to Sri Lanka? I feel like just, I don't know if it's like a little bit of a tilt or what, but I feel like the last couple of minutes, there's just been some questionable moves on their side, and Nepal's been punishing them. You know, noticing some of the misplays or the mistakes being made, and Nepal deciding to, hey, go for it. So, and you know, Ganigan, we were talking about that build earlier. Imagine he built the Sky Piercer early on, and now he's sitting on the 4 kills.
Joseph, they're making like Post Malone's 2016 single "Fall Apart." I don't know if it's a communications. I don't know if it's a communications breakdown or if it's just the skills are coming out at the wrong time. But now they are down about 5,000 gold, and Dead Zone is isolated. Oh, and he's taken down, traded for with Hybrid.
Both XP laners isolated from their teams will fall. Hybrid also burned the flicker. So interesting, because right now you got Bobby Bob taking the purple buff. He's actually going to have that, which is going to be huge for this Lord
Free.
fight. Yeah, free purple. So
oh, he did him dirty. He left the baby one too.
That's just a baby. He left the baby.
He left the baby.
Okay, it's gonna be cleared out. They do go clear it out. They know Bobby Bob's got the purple.
That's a wasted rotation.
Yeah.
Oh, Sri Lanka have been scrambled, scattered by Nepal because they're going for the blitz.
Oh, they're going for the blitz. But look, they send Black Cat down to the bottom to push. So if they can somehow get this Lord, it's gonna be huge for them. There's the flicker forward. And Ganigan's going to be able to take out Sky Zone. So Yahiko's able to secure the Lord, and now the fight's going to still break out. A final slash, able to find 2, and they're just melted. A double kill for Ganigan. Sri Lanka decided to send a Black Cat on the bottom side of the map to get that tier 1, but they lose the gamble for that Lord.
I don't think that's worth it. Given that you gave up lives and a Lord for a tier 1 push, again, given that this is all that Black Cat could do, but maybe they could have cut their losses and then give over kills. Holy Shield popped up top.
Whoa, Night Owl jumping in, not going to be able to toss up Maserap over the wall, and now Night Owl going to be in trouble, will get punished for that decision. Lord almost here up on the top side, and down Night Owl. This is going to be troublesome for Sri Lanka to defend. Now in trouble there. There goes Dead Zone. He's gone. They got 3 left, but under the turret they're going to go. Still, Yahiko waiting to go ahead and pop that shadow kill if he has to. A couple Rhapsody shots to the face for Sky Zone as he heavy spins around trying to buy some time, but he'll get melted too, and it looks like Nepal is looking to close it out. A final slash, able to clean up Black Cat, and now, even with the shadow kill into the fountain, they're just going to throw everyone there, and they're like, guys, just locked down on the base, but they hold on as much as they can. It's a triple, a maniac for Ganigan, and Nepal will sweep the series.
There's only so much you can do when there is a clear and huge gap in your golden firepower, that even when you think you could have wiped out your opponents, the fact that they're poor, the one hero that you needed to take down to ensure that this defense was going to be successful, Ganigan stayed up, spelt it for Nepal. That's a sweep by the, I guess now for sure, leader out of South Asia. Nepal still undefeated.
Yeah. Very strong showcase here, and I think this is kind of, I know we didn't have that much information, at least from the their offline matches, but knowing that this is Nepal, and you know, this is how their playstyle is still relatively the same, even if there might be 1 or 2 different names here than what we've seen in the past. You know, these guys like to go ahead and battle it out, and they will punish mistakes, and they'll make plays if they have to. So definitely still looks like a, you know, very true to their play style and the region for Nepal.
Yeah. Compared to game 1, I think Sri Lanka overthought this. They went full on Jimmy Neutron brain blast on this, and they may have overshot. First up, they bring a non-meta hero into the fold. That's the Nathan, and then they try to get fancy with it by picking the Akai early and then building the synergies with the Phoveus and the Jawhead. And I think that it's that latter pick, the Jawhead, that I don't know, maybe they failed in the early game, so now they don't know what to do with it mid to late game.
Yeah. It's yeah, this one was tough for Sri Lanka because I feel like, again, it was just, I don't know, it was some of the decisions that they made. And I think even for Night Owl, him on the Jawhead, and that's
it's the micro decisions too, like not just the major ones that led to the draft and the output, but yeah, it's like in game you're also wondering like what was the end game to this.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like with Sky Zone, like is Guardian Helmet an item that you really want? Like, right, you know what I mean? Like at this point in the game, he also had the Molten Essence of the Dreadnought armor, but I just feel like he maybe would have been a little better off with something else instead of that Guardian Helm. So I think it came down to that again for Sri Lanka. Like some of the itemization choices probably could have been different, but overall it was another kind of example of a team like Nepal who has competed. You know, they have competed. They have this experience. They have some veterancy there where you can clearly see it in the way that they play, the way that they draft. Like it starts there, but then the execution. You know, even for Bob, look at him, 1-0-17 and gone on. Like they both had fantastic games again, and were able to go ahead and capitalize on the picks that they brought to the table. Where it's like, in this sense, Yahiko, he dealt with a little pressure in his jungle, but ultimately he was like okay because he could rely on what, you know, basically his carries were capable of doing.
Yeah, there was very little in terms of an actual threat to the cores of Nepal because of how much Sri Lanka overshot the concept of what they were doing. Again, conceptually, individually, there was something there. Again, the kill box of the Eve, the synergy of the Akai with the Phoveus, even the burst of a Jawhead, and to, again, return stragglers into the kill box. These are legit things. But the way Sri Lanka executed on it and the moves they made to be able to get to this point all led to the sweep by Nepal. I wish Sri Lanka the best, and I hope that their Mlbb scene grows. But only one team moves on forth from South Asia, and it's clear. It's going to be Nepal.
Yeah, definitely. Again, when we saw the groups, you know, for a lot of people that have watched competitive Mlbb or even the different iterations here for Iesf's qualifiers for Asia and Oceania, there are clear nations and names that really stick out and people are familiar with. And when you look at a team like Nepal again, I think a lot of people, when they saw that group, it's like, all right, these guys are going to be very competitive, and you know they get the 4-0 now for their group. So I'm really interested to see, and I know we don't have all the games that are streamed, but I'm really interested to see once we start to get into, you know, the playoffs and everything, how they compete against some of the other teams that have dominated their groups. So hopefully they can continue to put some of these fun drafts to the test, because again, I'm all for these heroes, especially in the mid lane. It's so funny how I was talking about that leading into the series, Leo, and I was like, and then we got to see basically two kind of heroes you don't often see, you know, the Lunox and the Lilia.
And they made it work. They won with it. But again, I'd hate to be a critic and I hate to nitpick, but they weren't stretched to their limit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was, especially the Lilia, maybe the Lunox, maybe there was a little bit of sweat, maybe a little bit of effort put in by Bobby, but for the Lilia, I wish it went up against the lineup that really stretched what the hero was capable of. We didn't really find out how much that spell vamp buff affected it because she was rarely in any real danger.
100% so, and ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our day 4 here. We want to thank everybody joining us for the 3 matches that we had here for the ISF Asia and Oceania qualifiers. Once again, this is all for the nation's pride, the national team's prides, and everybody fighting it out for it. So it's been me, Naisu, and Leo to bring you the action for today. We'll be back here tomorrow for more games for day number 5. So until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.